Listen, today I want to continue the conversation from last week's episode. Now, last week we talked about uh, uh, the vision and writing a vision and why it's important, why it's a not only a safeguard but a life strategy. We talked about the vision. We talked about first the mission, which typically should come before your vision because your mission speaks to who you are. And if you haven't defined the mission of who you are and what you value, that's what mission speaks to. It speaks to the values that you hold as an individual. So your mission in life is bigger than just a goal or a set place or destination. It encompasses, who you are as an individual. So that's a foundational point that I want to bring out here because I want to make sure that you understand that the mission is something that needs to take a little work as an individual because you have to identify who you are and what matters to you. Then you have the vision. The vision speaks to purpose just as mission does, but the vision speaks to purpose in a different way. And I'm just recapping. If you heard last week's episode, you're kind of familiar, but I want to recap for those who may just be tuning in. A vision speaks to who you want to become or where you want to go. It's about a sight. It's your eyes have been set on a particular place, and this is the vision. This is where I want to go in life, or this is who I want to become. That's where vision comes into play. So it's a perception of where you want to go in life. And as we stated in last week's episode, the vision can be revised. It can be altered, changed, adjusted as you move and matriculate through life. As you grow and mature, the vision often may change. So you have your mission, your values, your core values, your character, who you are, who and what you want to represent in life. Then you have your vision, where you want to go or who you want to become. Next, you have the strategy, which often speaks to the steps you need to take to achieve your vision, the specific steps that you need to take. Now, strategy, and I don't know if I clarified it in last week's episode, but strategy, it's kind of a broad perspective when it comes to the vision. So you take this vision that you have and you now break it down into a strategy on how you're going to get to said place. Now, the strategy, it's bigger, broad steps of more of a panoramic view when it comes to your destiny. But then you have to take that strategy and break it down. And mind you, strategy, while I'm on that point, strategy requires that you not only research where you want to go because of the vision, but research what's happening in the market, what's happening on the way to your destination. How is said place? If I say I want to go to the grocery store on 5th and 102nd Street, then I need to know, okay, is there construction in that area? I've done some back research to understand what's happening on that route to 5th so that I now know if I need to go another way or if I need to maybe take an Uber or whatever the case may be. You understand the point. The strategy speaks to the steps that need to be taken. But in order to kind of know the steps, you got to have some history, some background. You have to have some wisdom, maybe for someone who's already been there. So that's what strategy comes in. But that strategy, the steps that you need to take, has to be broken down into goals. Now, your goals are your measure for your success. They measure the success in said vision. So when you say you have a vision to become or to do X, Y, and Z, now your strategy is, okay, I got to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. Now your goals say, hey, okay, this is what we need to do in order to implement this strategy. This is what we need to do. So this is my goal for this month. This is my goal for next month. This is my goal for this year in order to meet the strategy and ultimately fulfill the vision. But here's where we get messed up sometimes, because sometimes our goals become too lofty. And this is where this episode comes in. Sometimes our goals are so big, so broad, and we haven't broken them down enough to make them measurable, to make them palatable for us as individuals. If I have a goal of saving $500,000, Granted, I may be able to do so, but I can't do it all in 6 months. I can't do it all in 3 months, in 30 days, if you will. So we have to take that lofty goal or that big goal that is great to have. I'm not knocking your goal. I want you to keep that goal. But now I want to break it down into another form that we did not mention last week. And this is where I think we go wrong when it comes to reaching our goals. This is why I think we never reach our goals, is because we haven't taken that additional step. And that additional step is to understand that goals are made up of daily habits. I'll say that again. Goals are made up of daily habits. So if you take a goal of, let's say I want to take a goal of saving $20,000 this year. Okay. The daily habit, now we have to take that $20,000 goal and measure it to now how much do we make? Okay. And now we say, okay, I make this much. So, okay. So if I save this much, okay. So how much can I spend? What's my budget for the week? What's my budget for the day? So now I say, okay, that $20,000 goal has now been broken down into a daily budget, daily habit that now can support that. So if I save this amount every day, if I don't get that coffee every day for 365 days, then I can ultimately end up with this amount at the end of the year. It's a daily habit that support the goal. You often hear it, especially in the form of fitness and weight loss. I've been there. I know many are there, and as I'm there again in life, and I think, like I talked about the vision sometimes changing. There, I had a vision at one point of getting at one size and got there and kind of reverted a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. So now I'm back at that moment of trying to get back at the goal. The goal is a little bit different, but it's still a goal of fitness and weight loss and training and health and wellness, right? And I had to embrace the fact that, okay, if I'm going to get to X, Y, and X amount of pounds by said date, then what am I going to have to do every day to get there? And I often, that when we look at the big goal as the set pounds, sometimes it becomes discouraging because we're trying to bite off more than we can chew. You know what I mean? You're trying to bite off 50 pounds all in one treadmill ride or one treadmill run. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. So how many times do we have to get on the treadmill in order to support that 50-pound goal? We have to get on the treadmill as much as we can, but how about we try it every day? So this is how I've embraced my wellness and fitness goal for this season. I've taken away, because at one point I wanted to do everything. I was going kickboxing. I was going Pilates. Well, not Pilates too long because it just didn't work for me. But kickboxing and this class and that class and running over here, running over there, trying to do everything, trying to work out an hour and a half, and now I've gotten to the maturity where I said, you know what? If I can just do this for 20 minutes, at least 4 or 5 days a week, just 20 minutes. I believe with the right diet or the right eating habits, because I've done it before. So now I have a history. Remember, we talked about doing the research and having history or having wisdom. So I've done it before, so I know what it takes. It's just now I have to approach it a little bit more maturely, just because I don't want to spend that kind of time again. Before, I used to go to the gym and spend hours, walk on a treadmill till you almost pass out. You know what I mean? 45 minutes, an hour just on the treadmill, then try to go do weights. And then when somebody said we having a training class for this, I'm there. Then all you're eating is nuts and apples and we're drinking a bunch of water. So you're famished, you're tired, you're exhausted. And though you got to the goal, it wasn't necessarily the wisest way to get there, right? You know what I mean? But now with experience and with maturity, I say, okay, I know I can get there, and I just got to tweak a few things in my diet. You know what I mean? So now I have a daily habit of eating that supports me. And now I have a daily regimen of working out that supports me. It's the daily habits that make the goals attainable. The daily habits. So what are your goals? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Find a way to break that down. It may be weight loss. It may be saving money. It may be building a business. And granted, I've been there in all of those forms, and they're all challenging if you try to do it all at one time. But if you say, this is what I can do today, and this is where we have to become mature, do what you can in that day. Don't beat yourself up. Don't wreck yourself, stress yourself out, make your family's life miserable because you come home not wanting to be bothered because you're just simply exhausted because you tried to give it all. You know what I mean? And granted, you should give it all, but know your measure. Know how much know your threshold so that you don't burn out. Because granted, you're not going to lose 50 pounds in one day. You're not going to save $20,000 in one day. You're not going to build a business in one day. So it behooves you to take bite sizes. Eat as much as you can, just like in digesting food, just like in eating. Yeah, they say come eat all you can, but granted, eating all you can sometimes can make you sick. So sometimes you have to take off just as much, just enough, and just the amount that you can stand in that moment, and maybe try to bring you a little Ziploc bag and sneak some home. No, I'm kidding. Just I'm kidding. I've done that before, though. But anyway, just take as much as you can chew in the moment. Let that digest. Get back up and chew some more. The daily habit is what's going to support your goal. This is how I like to put it. And this is how you should build your habit, because it's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? Do it repetitiously. So give yourself 30 days to implement the habit. I guarantee you, as you implement it, as you do it repetitiously, you'll do it. It'll become easier for you as you do it repetitiously. And then as you do it repetitiously and it becomes easier, now you find pleasure in it. Now I find pleasure in it. Sometimes I go to the gym just as tired as I want to be, but I find pleasure getting on that treadmill for 20 minutes and doing that mile and a half and doing a few things here and there. I can find pleasure in it. It's almost like become a therapeutic moment where I can release and just relax, and not necessarily relax, but just kind of expel the stress of the day. You get what I'm saying? So now I did it repetitiously, but now it's become easy. And now, because it's easy, it's become pleasurable. I enjoy it. And I guarantee you, what you take pleasure in, you'll want to do it more often. You'll want to do it more often. And before you know it, you have a habit, a daily habit that supports you achieving your goals, implementing your strategy, and fulfilling your vision. Create daily habits that support the goals that you have so that you make your goals a pleasure, an enjoyable journey, and not one that's begrudging. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Build on Beauty podcast. I'm your host, Cornell Jermaine. Until next time, let your soul be made whole. Take care.